So, hi, I'm Pekelman. I work for Platform.sh. I'm the marketing guy at the company, and we're such a technical, company that the marketing guy, does Elixir and Python and Ruby at his day job in order to accomplish marketing-y things. I would never go on stage and do the sponsory thing. I hate that in conferences. But because of the projector, I feel entitled. I suffered so much, so I'm going to do it anyway. And I really wanted that. I mean, that's just... it's, oh, I feel an accomplishment. I don't know. Okay, sorry. This is our company. So this was taken like 10 days ago. We're a distributed company, so everybody's everywhere. And from time to time, we all meet together where you can get photos like this because that's cool. And basically, because sponsor or not, I have to do a talky talk. So I did a talk about containers like 2 weeks ago. And I talked about kind of abstractions and nuts and bolts. And basically, Platform, what we do is one small, clean abstraction, which is kind of software, and 320 Git repositories to implement the clean abstraction. And we've built we've been coding this for the last 4.5 years or so. We're in production for the 3. So we built an SDN, a software-defined network thing. We have our kind of own layer on top of Ceph that does the duplication, so it's our own file system in a way. We have our own proxy layer that does layers 4, 5, and 7, so it's an application layer thing. It terminates SSL, but it can proxy SSH with unicast down into a container. And we have our own orchestrator, and we have our own Pythonian distributed objects framework that is highly consistent, and we have our own container runtime. It's based on Elixir, but basically kind of hardened Elixir. And we have our own build tool. So we have our own reproducible way to create images of anything. So the machine, there's a single chain to do both the virtual machine images and the Docker containers and the Elixir containers and anything else for any cloud. And we have our own event sourcing framework to do all the metrics and logs and facts. We have something we call facts, which is not logs and not. And basically, I don't really know, so I might be lying, but as far as I could see, we're basically like 10 times more dense. Our container thing is probably 10 times denser than what you could achieve normally with Docker or something like that. And we contribute to the kernel, we are Debian contributors, we contribute all over, and we don't open source anything for no good reason at all. Just like we're tired and overworked. So everybody's kind of the people open source stuff all the time. Like yesterday, the ETL thing, I'm going to use the Bonobo thing because like before yesterday, I started to do a kind of my own script to import shit. And so I published a gem that does transforms basically daily exports into an event stream. So kind of does the diffing, and then because I needed events and not. So basically, I would never this kind of slide. There is no conference on earth where I would dare do that, because kind of not invented here, right? Everybody's gonna. This is the only safe place where I can go on stage and say, hey, we're building all of that. So I really wanted to thank Zeist for that, because I mean, hey, this is a conference where it's normal to write your own programming language. It's normal to do your own VM. So hey, this is chump change what we do. I'm not gonna really talk about what our abstraction is, but we're kind of taking it seriously. So when people in the company talk, we always talk about primitives and very little about implementation. The implementation should flow from the primitives, and we always be able to throw away the implementation, because if you have the primitives correct, the implementation is just something throwaway. And what we're trying to kind of figure out is, how do you run software? And what is the contract of software? And we're kind of trying to look at what are the contracts other things expose, like look at Docker and try to understand, not how do you use Docker, but what Docker says about the world, or says about how you develop software. And is it an efficient contract or not? In the serverless talk, that stuff that is easy to use takes over the world, and Docker is clearly something easy to use, and it's clearly taking over the world. But then again, PHP, where's Aaron? PHP is also really easy to use and takes over the world, and then you have 20 years of suffering later. So we're a different thing. We're not Kubernetes. We have a different, we're not Docker. We're not Kubernetes. We don't really compare ourselves to that, because we propose a different contract, and it's a contract where we say basically that all software has at least 3 things together, and kind of that always come together. It's a collection of code repositories, an infrastructure on which it's capable of running, so it's infrastructure level dependencies, and a state of the world, and data. And that if you don't kind of consider the molecule together, you're gonna get shit wrong. So I won't get into that, because I'll be happy downstairs to troll with anyone. I like trolling. I'm just gonna say that. So I'm gonna do So the interesting things about abstractions and primitives is that when you take them seriously, there are emergent properties, stuff you can do that you will never be able to do if you bolt stuff on later. So like the not invented here stuff, why do we do our own file system, and why do we implement our own SDN? Because it is the only possible way to implement that. There is no other way. If you don't control the life cycle of the executable running, you will not be able to have consistent operations like that. And so, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. So you haven't heard about us before, but we are somewhat legitimate. Like huge e-commerce people like Magento run all their shit on us. You might not know Sensio, but Symfony is probably the most used framework on earth. Everything else uses it these days. Their cloud runs on Platform.sh, and this is where we deploy to. So this is wrong, because we have mainland China now. Yeah, and I'm here because we're hiring, and we need weird people, and I don't know how to find them. So I'm in this conference because you're weird and you have weird friends. So I would really, really like you to think about, do I know someone that kind of fits the compliance officer role, but that does Haskell, that would want to code the shit out of it, and not kind of fill in forms? The other reason we're here is because of the 50% thing. So we are miserably failing at hiring female engineers, but it's the kind of, I know we're bad and we're not doing it correctly, but we only get 3% of females interviewing. So, and it's the same interview, and we pay women more. But and of course, when I say this, don't nobody troll, please. Of course, we're not talking about women only, but that's the main thing. We've tried as much as we could for this conference, and we've got to 25% or something like that, which is huge, but it ain't over. So these are kind of, hey, our requirements. We don't really have any. Yeah. I think that kind of, yeah. Don't ask me questions. Come talk to me downstairs. So if you have friends that want to do compliance or want to be engineers, do you know engineers? So send them over. If you know a company that needs to host shit and be efficient, come too. And yeah, and like the guy before there, like BNP Paribas, like huge bank, eighth in the world, they host an internet with us and stuff like that. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.